7 in the evening, Osaka. A woman of 68 sets down 5 small bowls and sits. In Ohio, a woman of 49 eats a careful, virtuous dinner and wakes up heavy anyway. The difference is not the food. Tonight, 9 things a Japanese table leaves off, and watch for number 6, because it breaks the one rule you have been obeying. Number 9 is the missing dish. It is the last one, and it is the whole answer. Here is the free one, before anything else. Tonight, do not change what you eat. Change the order you eat it in. Vegetables first, then the protein. Rice or bread last. Researchers in Japan, led by Saiko Imai at Kyoto Prefectural University of Medicine, have studied this exact sequence for years. Same meal, same food, the vegetables simply move to the front, and the rise in blood sugar after the meal comes gentler for it. Nothing is removed, nothing is measured. You eat the same plate in a different order. That one is yours. Use it tonight. Now the 9. A few of them are foods. Most of them are absences, things that are simply not there on a Japanese table at 7 in the evening and that nobody notices because you cannot see what was never served. Number 9 is the largest absence of them all. I am going to call it the missing dish, and I will keep calling it that until we get there. Here is the equation you have been handed. Heavy morning equals too much food. Too much food equals not enough willpower. So the fix is always subtraction. A smaller portion, a later start, no carbs, no snacks, one more rule to break by 9 o'clock. A Japanese dinner runs on a different equation. Nothing is subtracted at the table. The subtraction already happened, in the kitchen, in the cupboard, in what got carried into the room in the first place. By the time she sits down, there is nothing left to resist. Number 1. Dashi, the flavor that replaces fat. In 1908, a chemist named Kikunae Ikeda at Tokyo Imperial University sat with a bowl of kelp broth and refused to accept that it tasted of nothing in particular. He isolated the compound responsible and gave the taste a name: umami, savory, the 5th taste, alongside sweet, salt, sour, and bitter. That broth is dashi, dried kelp, dried bonito flakes, hot water, 10 minutes. It is the base under almost every Japanese dinner, and it is essentially fat-free. Consider what that does to a plate. In a Western kitchen, flavor rides on fat and on sugar, butter in the pan, cream in the sauce, something sweet in the marinade. Take the fat out, and the food tastes like a punishment, which is exactly why low-fat cooking tastes like low-fat cooking. In a Japanese kitchen, flavor rides on dashi. Take the fat out, and nothing is missing, because the fat was never doing the work. Tonight, put a strip of kombu, dried kelp, into a jar of cold water and leave it in the fridge overnight. That is the whole technique. Tomorrow you have dashi, and one dinner that tastes deep without a spoon of oil in it. Do that, and you have fixed the taste. You have not fixed the amount. That is a different absence entirely, and the one that ends this list, the missing dish, has nothing to do with flavor. Number 2. Misoshiru, hot liquid before solids. A small lacquer bowl, steam coming off it, sitting to the left of everything else on the tray. Cloudy, pale brown, a few cubes of tofu, one green fleck of seaweed. It arrives with the meal, not before it as a course, not after it as an afterthought. It sits there and it goes first. The Western default is to start with the densest thing on the plate, because you are hungry and the dense thing is the point. Soup is what you have when you are sick. A bowl of hot, salty, savory liquid at the front of a meal does something a cold appetizer cannot. It is warm, it has to be sipped, and it takes up room. You have been eating for 3 minutes before you reach anything solid. Nobody in that kitchen is thinking about any of this. The soup is there because the soup is always there. Tonight, make miso soup the first thing you touch. Instant is fine. A spoonful of miso paste stirred into hot water off the heat, so you do not cook the life out of it. Then look at what is sitting next to it on that tray. Not one plate, several. We will come back to that. Number 3. Tsukemono. Salty ending, not sweet. You were taught that a meal ends sweet. Dessert is the reward, the full stop, the thing you earned by eating the vegetables first. A traditional Japanese meal ends with pickles, tsukemono, cucumber, daikon radish, cabbage, salted or fermented, 3 or 4 slices in a small dish, eaten alongside the last mouthfuls of rice. Salt and sour do not do what sugar does. A sweet ending invites a second sweet ending, then a third, and by the 4th, you are not tasting anything. A sharp, salty ending closes the mouth instead of reopening it. Sweets do exist in Japan. Wagashi are beautiful and precise and centuries old. They belong with tea in the afternoon. They are not the end of dinner. Tonight, put something sharp at the end. 3 slices of pickled cucumber. A spoon of sauerkraut, if that is what is in the fridge. Eat it last, after the final bite of the main dish. That closes the mouth. It does not close the evening, and the evening is where most of the damage happens, which is precisely where number 6 is going to contradict you. Number 4. Mizugashi. Fruit is the dessert. Keiko is 71 and lives in 2 rooms in Kanazawa. After dinner, she peels a persimmon, slowly, in one long, unbroken ribbon, the way her mother did it. It takes 4 minutes. She eats it in 6 pieces, and that is the end of the meal. There is an old word for this, Mizugashi, water fruit. It is what the sweet course after a meal was called before Western cake and ice cream arrived in Japan, and what it named was fruit. This is not a rule Keiko follows on purpose. It is what is in the house. There is no half-gallon of anything in her freezer because it was never carried through the door. That is the part worth stealing. Not willpower at 10 at night. A different shopping list at 4 in the afternoon. Tonight, buy 1 piece of fruit that requires work. A pomegranate, an orange with a tight skin. Peel it slowly after dinner and take your time about it. 4 minutes of peeling is 4 minutes you are not standing in front of the freezer. But something else stands between Keiko and a second helping, and it is not fruit. It is the missing dish. Number 5. Kuchisabishii. The lonely mouth has a name. There is a convenience store on nearly every corner in urban Japan. Lawson, Family Mart, 7-Eleven, open all night, lit like an operating theater, 20 steps from most front doors, and stocked wall to wall with snacks. The temptation infrastructure is better than yours. Sit with that for a second, because it means the difference is not access. Japanese has a word for eating when you are not hungry, Kuchisabishii, literally, lonely mouth, not hungry mouth, lonely. It is a small, almost affectionate word, and that is the useful part. It does not say you are weak. It says your mouth is bored, and a bored mouth wants occupation, not calories. So the answer is not discipline, it is occupation. Tea. A toothbrush. Anything with a taste strong enough to end the mouth's shift for the night. Tonight. When the urge arrives and you already know you are not hungry, say the word out loud. Kuchisabishii. Naming it puts 1 second between the feeling and the cupboard door, and 1 second is usually all it takes. That handles the mouth. It does nothing about the plate. And about the plate, you have been keeping a rule that Japan has never kept. That is number 6, and it is next. Number 6. Gohan. The rice never leaves. Here is the rule you have been holding. No carbs after 7, no rice, no bread, no pasta at night, because carbohydrates at night turn into weight while you sleep. Now look at the tray in Osaka. 8 in the evening. There is a bowl of white rice on it. There is a bowl of white rice on it every night of her life. Gohan does not only mean rice, it means the meal itself. Asa Gohan, morning rice, is breakfast. Ban Gohan, evening rice, is dinner. The Japanese word for dinner is, literally, evening rice. You have been at war with the single food sitting at the center of every meal in a country famous for how its people age. The rice is not the problem. 3 things around it are: the bowl it comes in is small, and it does not refill itself without a decision. It arrives last, after the soup and the vegetables and the fish, on a stomach that is already 2/3 settled, and it is not swimming in anything. Tonight, keep the rice, move it to the end of the meal, and serve it in the smallest bowl you own. That rule cost you your evenings and bought you nothing, which leaves the harder question standing. If it is not the carbs, what actually stops the second helping? The missing dish, 3 items away. Pause here. If number 6 stung, that is the correct response. It means you have been paying for a rule with something real and getting nothing back for it, and being annoyed about that is fair. The last 3 are a different kind of thing from the first 6. The first 6 are changes you can make to tomorrow's dinner. The last 3 change the shape of the table itself, and the 9th changes it so completely that the first 6 start happening on their own. And keep the woman in Osaka somewhere in your head. When her meal ends, she does one small thing with the empty tray. I will show you in the last 30 seconds. Number 7. Ocha. Nothing drinkable has calories. Margaret in Ohio does everything right at dinner. Grilled chicken, a pile of greens, and a tall glass of something beside it. Juice, or a diet soda, or a glass of wine, or sweet tea, depending on the night. On the tray in Osaka, there is a small cup of green tea. Barley tea in summer, hot water in winter, bitter, usually, free, always. This is the quietest of the 9, and it may be the heaviest. A drink is the one thing at dinner that goes down without being chewed, without being noticed, and without ever registering as part of the meal. Nobody has ever said, "I had a big dinner and a glass of juice." Bitter tea also does something a sweet drink cannot. It clears the mouth between bites instead of coating it, so the food keeps tasting like itself all the way to the end. Tonight, put a cup of hot tea beside the plate. Genmaicha is an easy place to start. Green tea with toasted rice in it, and it tastes like a warm room. 2 left. Number 8 is a sentence. Number 9 is the missing dish, and once you have seen it, you will not be able to sit at any table without seeing it again. Number 8. Gochisosama. Someone says the ending. Chopsticks laid down flat across the rest, hands together for half a second, and a sentence spoken out loud into the room, even when the room is empty. Gochisosama deshita. Roughly, thank you for the feast, and in its older sense, a thank you to whoever ran around gathering the food. Then the meal is over. Not winding down. Over. Now look at how a Western dinner ends. It does not. The plate empties. The table stays set. Somebody picks at the serving dish while talking. The kitchen light stays on. The evening slides down a long, soft slope of grazing that never had a bottom to it, because nothing ever announced the top. A spoken sentence is a door closing. It is arbitrary, and it works because it is arbitrary. The meal is finished because you said so, out loud. And now, there is a before and an after. Tonight, say something out loud when you finish. Use the Japanese if you like the sound of it. Use "that was good" if you do not. Then stand up and turn the kitchen light off behind you. That is the ending. Now here is the beginning you never saw, the missing dish, and why she never had to resist a second helping in the first place. Number 9. Ichiju-sansai, the dish that is not there. Go back to the tray one more time and count what is on it. A bowl of rice, a bowl of soup, 3 small dishes beside them, a piece of grilled fish, some simmered vegetables, a few pickles. 1 soup, 3 sides. That is the name of the structure. Ichiju-sansai. It is the ordinary, taught, expected shape of a Japanese meal. Now count what is not on it. There is no serving platter, no casserole dish in the middle of the table, no pot with a ladle standing in it, no bowl of extra rice within reach of her arm. There is no communal vessel on that table at all. Every portion she will eat tonight was decided in the kitchen, standing up, before she sat down, and carried out on a tray. That is the missing dish. Not a food, a piece of furniture. Slow down here. Let this land. In a Western dinner, the decision to stop eating has to be made at the table, over and over, while the food is still steaming 18 inches from your hand, while you are relaxed and talking, and not thinking about it at all. You have to win that decision 5 or 6 times a night, every night, for the rest of your life. On that tray, the decision was made once, in a different room, by a version of you who was not yet hungry. And a second helping is not a decision there, it is a journey. Stand up, walk to the kitchen, lift the lid, serve yourself, come back and sit down again. 4 steps of friction, and almost nobody walks them. This is not willpower, it is architecture. She is not stronger than you, her table is. And to be honest about it, shared meals do exist in Japan. Nabe, the winter hot pot, sits in the middle of the table with everyone reaching into it. That is a real exception. It is also an occasion, not a Tuesday. Look at your own dining table right now, or picture it if you are not in the room. Count the things sitting in the middle of it at dinner. That is your answer. Tonight, only this one. Plate the food in the kitchen and leave the pot on the stove. Carry the plates out. Put nothing else on the table. Do that, and watch what happens to the other 8. All 9 are the same move. Dashi instead of butter. Soup before the solid thing. Pickles instead of cake. Fruit that has to be peeled. A word for the lonely mouth. Rice kept, but repositioned. Tea instead of a drink with a number on it, a sentence that closes the door, and a table with nothing left on it to reach for. Not one of them is a rule about eating less. Every one of them is a change made to the room, in advance, by a calm person who is not yet hungry. The West fixes dinner by asking you to be stronger at 8 o'clock at night, which is the hour you have the least of anything left. Japan fixes dinner at 4 in the afternoon, in a kitchen, when it costs nothing at all. You do not need more willpower at dinner. You need fewer decisions left within reach. And the woman in Osaka, at the end of it, she picks up her own tray, rice bowl, soup bowl, the 3 small dishes, all of it at once, and she carries it to the sink herself. It takes 11 seconds. It is not a ritual, and
You look
nobody ever taught
completely
it to her as
exhausted.
one.
Try and
But it
relax
means
now.
her
The
meal
hard part
ends
is
with her
over.
standing up and walking away from the table. And the last thing her body learns every single night is that dinner finishes somewhere else. So, which one of these 9 is the one your evenings are most missing right now? Is it number 6, and you are still fighting a bowl of rice at 7 o'clock and calling that discipline? Is it number 9, and the pot that has been sitting in the middle of your table for 20 years? Drop the number in the comments, not because we keep score, but because naming the one thing is the first step toward actually changing it. And someone else reading your comment might recognize themselves in it and feel a little less alone tonight. If this changed the way you see your own dinner table, share it with one woman in your life who has been eating carefully for years and still wakes up heavy. She might be one empty table away from feeling light again. This channel shares cultural ideas and perspectives for reflection, not professional medical, mental health, or financial advice.